Okay, good morning. Siman Reish Nun Hey. Hachonas ha'esh kaidim hachmas Shabbos b'gimel seifim. So the halachas of making a fire before Shabbos, again, it's connected to what we've been discussing till now because we've been discussing shehiyah and all these related halachas, and the concern is shem yechata. You might come to stoke. Well, so too, if you've prepared, put a fire on before Shabbos, the concern may be that you might be mechata as well. And that's what this this is what this siman deals with. Says the Mechaber in Reish Nun Hey Aleph. Ein oisin medura me'etzim samach l'chashecha. You shouldn't make a bonfire, fire with wood, etc., before very close to Shabbos. Ad sheyatzis bohen ha'or, until the flame catches hold. Be'inyan shetehei hashaleves oile me'aleh, to the extent that the flame burns on its own accord. It's got to be fully. In other words, it's got to be going all by itself. That the fire is well established. Without the flames of another fire. And if it's a single piece of wood, like a log, the fire has got to have caught hold. In the majority of the width and circumference of this log, and if it hasn't caught a light so much. You can't get benefit from that fire on Shabbos because we're concerned that you might come to stoke the fire, and you'll sort of move around the pieces of wood in order to raise the flame. But once it has caught fire, it sort of catches hold sufficiently, then you can sit opposite your open fire on Shabbos and enjoy it and get warm, no problem. Whether it's on the floor or whether it's on some sort of candelabra. Even if it's made out of things which you don't normally use as a wick on Shabbos. Says Mishnah Berurah. Ein oisin medura. So too, if you want to use the fire of an oven, nami dina medura, same idea. It's got the same halachas as this medura. Unless, of course, the oven is it's sealed off to oz shari, and then that would be okay. Even if it hasn't fully caught on, you're still okay to get benefit from it. Or mashma if there's a time for before Shabbos that the flame can catch hold on its own, then great. Then if a tanur which is not tuach patid, it's not sealed, would also be okay. But says Mishmur, you're better off avoiding having this fire even if the tanur is sealed. And you should make sure that the fire is sort of towards the end of it. So then you would be okay if it's taken hold before Shabbos. Then you've got no problem. However, says the Mishnah Berurah, that when it comes to the end of the fire, it's quite common to find the udim, the small pieces of wood left in the oven, and you've got to get a non-Jewish person on Shabbos to sort of keep fanning the flames, otherwise it will go out and it will get cold, and you won't have the warmth and the oven going. And therefore you shouldn't put yourself in that situation where it's going to go out on a Friday night and you want to make it last longer, and you might have to call a non-Jewish person to help you. You shouldn't put yourself in that situation in the first place. This is not the same as in cold climates where you're allowed to get a non-Jewish person to put the fire on, because hakol cholim etz al tzina, and therefore the amir la'akum for a guy to put on the central heating in contemporary times is not a problem. You've got no other choice there. Because yesterday's, if the heating's off, then it's cold. But here you could have made the fire earlier. Unless there was some sort of onus. Okay. It's got to take hold. If If it hasn't fully taken hold, we're worried that on Shabbos you might come to stoke the flames. Beli siyua, without this, it's got to be independently burning and without the assistance of something else. Because you shouldn't have to say that let's bring other pieces of wood to help this fire along. But rove ovya, and if you've got a log, a single log, then it's got to have taken hold in the majority of the width and circumference. It's got to actually be not just like an external fire, but it's actually got to sort of have penetrated the actual main part of the log. For gamshi ispashet b'rov hekefim achutz, and the majority of the circumference from the outside. Also lehonos. So this is what's this going on. Yes, because also lehonos baba Shabbos. If it hasn't taken hold, the fire hasn't caught hold so well, we're worried. It's also to get hana because we're worried shem yechata. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Hay Pirush. Afilu hudlu kach legamra. Even if it later fully burns, or k'meish kosav v'soif simulation dalad ba'a sauces for turmesin. We're talking about when you're cooking these beans and vegetables and things. The kol she'aval divrei Chazal also lehonos ad motzei Shabbos. If you violated this halacha, then you can't get benefit from it until motzei Shabbos. Ucheshehudluk b'shir pirush mi'ba'id yom kodim Shabbos. Then yochel hischamim. Hataz b'simen ayin reish hey kosav. The mikol makom yesh lizoher shlo leishiv b'somach etzel znavas ha'udim. Even though it takes hold, the fire that you made before Shabbos is well well alight and it's no problem. Still, says the Mishnah, don't sit too close to the fire. You see it's very tempting. You remember the camp bonfires, and you see a few pieces of wood sticking out. The temptation is you want to just put it back in and to play around with it. So don't sit too close to avoid that. We're not worried about that. And you can sit close. Unless you're reading so close because you want to read your sefer, your book or whatever, and you want to get so close. Then you've got the concern that you might, if you're sitting so close, then you may well come to tamper with it. This is the very end of Sif Aleph. The Medur metoich shehesagrav kol echad mavir es chaveiroi. It causes the other things to catch on and to light as well. Okay, base. Yesh oimrim shebebechomim afilu lo'ochaz bahem ha'or, with coals that even if they haven't all ignited, ela kolshu, even a small amount, sharim mipnei sheim dolkin v'holchin. Because once one coal is alight, then the others will catch on, and you're going to be okay. And there's yesh oimrim that's okay. That's Sif Base, Sif Gimel. We'll see Sif Gimel because it depends on the combustibility of each item, and it seems with Pechomin, even if the fire hasn't caught hold of it properly, that seems to be so combustible that once you've got one or two of them alight, then it will just spread quite naturally, I think. Gimel, Medur Shel Zefes. If you've got a bonfire made up of tar, v'shel gofris, v'shel kash, or gavova, straw and stubble. Afilu le'achaz b'hem ha'orek ele kolshu. Same again, Eli. The idea, even if the fire is only caught onto some of them, shari. V'chein medur shel konim, of beams, v'shel garini tamarim, of date seeds, kashem mefuzarim, which are scattered around. Because again, the idea is that once they've caught on a little bit, then they'll spread very easily, and therefore there's no chashash of shem yechata. If, however, the beams and the woods and the seeds are all in a basket of some sort, there it needs more involvement, and you've got to sort of play around with the sources of with the garin or with the konim in order to help the fire catch on, and therefore you've got more of a problem. So explains the Mishnah Berurah, Shal Zefes, Sifkot and Tes, Ayin the Gemara, Duhuadin Shuman v'Shaiva al Dova hanetach. If you've got wax and oil, same sort of thing. Shal Kasha Gvava, Kasha Zinvei Shibolim, the stalks, for Gvava Shegovin Misoda Acha Ktsira, you collect them from the field after you've harvested. The individual dried stalks, kashem ufuzarim, even though they're scattered around. Hatam to kimin she'achas b'na or ktsas in boyjim, this is what I said before, that since some of it has caught alight from before Shabbos, shuvheim dolkim elehen, you're not worried, they're gonna just burn. They're so combustible that the rest of it is going to burn very easily. But once they're in a basket, all sort of squashed together, the fire doesn't actually sort of penetrate all the stalks as easily, and therefore, you've got more of a problem in that situation of Shemi Yechate. So again, what are we saying over here? You've got a bonfire before Shabbos. The halachas are you've got to make sure it's fully caught on before Shabbos, otherwise you can't get hano. We're worried Shemi Yechate. If, however, the material is so combustible, even if part of it is caught on, you're going to be okay. However, not if these items are in a sal, because they don't. The ein hashaleves yechol likonis bohen, and you've got the same problem. Now, but then we had a yesh omrim behepach. What does that mean? So he says the first opinion is das harif Rambam. The das hayesh omrim shu das harosh v'atur hu lehepach to kashem ufuzaros kol achas mehen loitim says chaveret. On the contrary, if they're scattered around, one piece of stalk won't find the other one. V'heim kavim v'holchim, they'll just extinguish. Hilkach tzrichim roiv, therefore you need an abundance of them together. Masha'enka kashem ne'godim biyachad v'chein begarin. I suppose if they're totally tied together, and so too with seeds. Okay, so it's not so applicable in our days because we have different heating systems, of course. But you do find them occasionally. You go away to a cottage and sometimes you have open fires and things like that, or a campfire on Erev Shabbos. So to bear in mind of these halachas.